Right, hello and welcome to my channel. So I've decided to put this video together as English Studio is about to launch on the Windows platform, I believe, tomorrow on the 14th of December. This is running at the moment. I'm running this on the Mac, but much of the information will be transferable between the two. So, assuming first thing you've done is you've installed Endless Studio, obviously you want to go up to the little cog here in the top right corner, gives you all of your app settings there. One thing that I would do first of all is change the looper mode to the advanced looper. So if it's on simple, it's just one looper segment like that, yeah. If you stick it on advanced, it gives you four segments. So you can loop 1 bar, 2 bars, 4 bars, or 8 bars. Um, if you look underneath here, we have, well, there's a legacy looper view as well. All that does is it changes the appearance, makes it more square, the looper, and it's more rounded than that one. No other difference in that as far as I can tell. Right, the transport clock source is defaulted to Ableton Link, but you can also go for internal or MIDI clock there if you need. New riffs adapt current tempo. I just leave that off, to be honest. Autoplay is for when you're playing in a jam with other people. It will automatically fire their riffs on as they play. If you turn that off, then it won't. Note names, turn this on. If you're a theory-based musician and you like to know the notes you're playing, this will give you the note names. Show tooltips, probably best to toggle that on when you're first starting because it'll give you an indication of what's going on. Ableton Push support, I know nothing about, to be honest. I don't use an Ableton Push and I don't know what the support's like, but I'm sure it's great. Right, audio settings on the little purple lozenge there. As you can see, you've got your inputs, outputs, active output channels, your sample rate and your audio buffer size, and then you have your MIDI settings underneath. So you've got a little tick box there for all of the different MIDI controllers that you might have. As you can see, I've got too many MIDI controllers, and you've got the clock out there as well. Okay, right. Now, if we look beside the little settings cog, there is this little DIN plug for MIDI. You click on that and it all turns green. So you can just click, point and click on the screen, then touch the MIDI controller and you're mapping it. It's done. It really is that simple. I've got my Machina Mark III mapped to Endless at the moment, and for the looper segments, I've got a little iRig Blue board, 4 segment foot pedal, and that's operating the looper. Right, okay. So we're starting off in what's known as the solo jam. If we look on the left hand side here, you've got these 4 options. You've got current jam, my jams, public jams, and riffs. So I'll give you just a very brief overview of that. Current jam, obviously, that's self-explanatory. It's the jam that you're currently in. My jams, if you click on that, the top one will always be my solo jam. Okay, that's where you can go and practice solo. Underneath that, you have all of the private jams that you will be involved in as well. The longer you are on the servers, or sorry, the longer you're on Endless, the more of these that you will end up in. And these are jams that are open to private members, basically, not open to the public. Underneath that, you have the public jams, of which there are, I don't know, 15 or so public jams. And these get rotated every couple of weeks, so there's different ones coming up all the time. They all have different inspiration for their genres or their theme. And they're a lot of fun, and that's a great way to kind of get to know other people on Endless, is to get in there and start jamming with them. Um, Underneath there, we have the riffs section as well. The riffs are somewhere where you can go and take a segment of the jam that you're playing and post it to this repository here, where people can come along and they can vote on it, whether they like it or not, with a little love heart, which is sweet. So if you look up in the corner here, you've got this drop down and you've got the latest added riffs, which is what we're on at the moment. You've got my riffs, which is the riffs that you've done yourself. You've got liked, which is all the riffs you've liked over time. And then you've got the top riffs, which is basically the charts of Endless. So you can come on here and see who all the fave people are on Endless, right? For that week anyway. So what we're interested in at the moment, getting started, is current jam. And as you can see, it defaults to autoplay there. I'll just turn that off. Right, so current jam, we've got two options here. We've got sounds and we've got riff details. We're starting riff details because it's the briefest one to cover. So we've got the riff name here, my solo jam. The name of the last person who riffed, which is me, Fancy Spectacles, the only person who can riff in here because it's my solo jam. Last time it was active, 15 minutes ago. Time signature 4/4, 87 BPM, and we're in the key of C minor. Underneath here, we have export video. So if you have a riff, and before we continue, let me just explain what a riff is. A riff is one of these little splats, basically. And each one of those can be up to 8 tracks. And it's a little snapshot of those 8 tracks, a little snapshot in time, basically. Okay, so if you wanted to export one of these, you would click on export video. It exports it as an MP4 for you. Gives you a little video with the picture of the riff of the jam, if there's one being provided. The next thing you come along to is export stems. Now, as I say, each one of these little kind of riffs has up to 8 tracks in it. As you can see, there's 8 tracks here. And now, each one of these is an individual stem, and you can export those into your DAW of choice. The export stems allows you to do it via the software like that, or much easier, you can just drag one of the riffs either from there or from here and just drag it straight into your DAW or DAW, sorry, and that's your export done. It's super simple. It's one of the best features of Endless. The next thing we come to here is share riff. That shares riffs to the riff feed that we just looked at there, the kind of charts thing. And your final option is, should you wish to, you can go in, highlight any of the riffs in the history, and so long as you're the author of that riff, you can delete it so it doesn't exist anymore. Various reasons why you might want to do that. You don't generally need to delete riffs though, because nothing gets destroyed in Endless. It's all saved in the riff history. Very non-destructive. Right. Okay, so last thing I should mention as well, if you're looking on the left-hand side here, right at the bottom is the account details. If you click on that, it just brings up an option to log out from your account. Okay, now this thing I'm scrolling up here, all these splats, this is the riff history. As you can see, it's all date ordered chronologically, which is fab. Okay. That is mirrored along the top here. You can see there's more splats here. So that one there that I've got I've got my mouse on top of at the moment, or my cursor, is the same as that riff there. You can see they're both highlighted in the white box, and that means that's the one that would be playing right now if we were to press play like that. Now, let me see, what's the best thing to do next? We've got this area here, which is the mixer. You have the targets at the top here. So if you want to target a particular channel to put effects on, or if you want to overdub, if you want to do that, you've got the target switches. Under that, you have enable, which is effectively mute. So you can mute each track individually. And then under that, you've got your faders for your levels. Create new riff. If you have made a riff and the levels are slightly out, what you can do is adjust all the levels, mix it the way you want, press create new riff, and it'll pop up a new riff up here with your levels automation added to it. If we go over to the right here, we've got this last little sort of rectangular box where we have the key signatures. We have the scale, and you have a whole option here in the drop down of various different scales, quite a lot of scales in there. Your BPM, beats per minute, and your time signature here. Okay, so the next thing we want to look at is back up here. We go past riff details and click on sounds. Now, this is where you select your sound sources for Endless. They are all color coded. Orange is drums. Yellow is kind of higher pitched melodic instruments, synths, etc. Blue is your basses, all your bass synths. Purple is the sampler. The sampler needs a video all of its own. To be honest, it's quite in depth and it's really creative and good fun. But we maybe get into that in another video. The green section is the legendary effects unit of Endless. You've got the core effects, and then you've got the infinite effects, and you've got the mother of all effects, the key basher, which is, well, you just need to play with it basically to get an idea of what it is. It's fantastic. It's many different effects all on top of each other, and it's very playable. Last thing we come to, one of the best features of Endless really is the mic and line in, where you can connect your own home studio, you can connect your microphone, you can connect whatever you want that makes a noise and plug it straight into Endless. Okay, before we put down the start of a beat, we're going to look up here at the top. There's two options. This Q is the quantize, and you can adjust this little slider here, so you can go from quarter note quantize, 8th, 16 and 32nd note quantize. That's your options there. The other thing you have here is your metronome. Now, the metronome, when it first started on Endless, was very quiet, but they fixed that a while ago now, and you have a little volume control, so you can turn it up nice and loud should you wish to, and there's your metronome on. Right, so we'll keep the metronome on because we're going to lay down the first initial, I don't know, we'll just make a quick riff to give you an example. So, we're in the drums. There's lots of different drums to choose from. These are all the original ones here. And then underneath, you'll find lots and lots of other packs of drums. These are made, some of them are made by the Endless team, but a lot of them are made by community members as well, and they have been sculpted with much love. There's some really usable sounds in there. It's the same with the synths as well. You see down the side here, you've got all the community and Endless home packs, and then you've got the same with the bass too. Lots of different packs. Anyway, we're going to start with the drums. One of my favorites to start with would be studio drums. There's so many favorites in there, really. Let's see, we'll go with synthwave, and we'll just put down a very basic beat. So let me see, I'll get my foot on the loop button. So I'm going to just loop this on one bar. Now, it's a retrospective looper, and that's a very important function with Endless. Most loopers are punch-in, punch-out loopers, in that you hit the looper pedal at the start of the bar, you play your piece, and then at the end of the bar of your last bit, you hit the looper pedal again. That provides the second loop point, and your loop travels between those 2 points. The retrospective looper is different. With the retrospective looper, you just play, and then the waveform appears along here, and then when you get to 1 bar, you can click on it, and it's quantized to cut at 1 bar, 2 bars, 4 bars, or 8 bars. Let me give you an example. So I'll put a beat down. I'm going to loop it on 1 bar. Right, as you can see, we've got our first little loop there. Let's give the bass a little go on with a little stab on the bass. Now I'm going to use one of my favorite basses in here, which is in Low End Theories by Red Sky Lullaby and his Sublab bass. What I like to do is come to the octave switch here and drop it right down, and just boost the volume of it ever so slightly on the level there as well, just up a couple of notches, and that generally gives me a nice sub bass, I find. So we'll get that going. There we go. So we've got a bit of a sub bass going on there now as well. Now, maybe we want to give that a little bit of processing. It's cool. It's not quite clipping, but it's a bit rumbly there. So I'm just going to drop it down in volume a little bit before I go to the channel effect. And now I'm going to mono it by taking the stereo width and dropping it right down. I'm just going to knock it slightly into the left channel there as well. Okay. Next, let's give it something, maybe a little bit of a pad. So one of the nicest sounds on here is again by Elling, and it's the Light Sky Lift. It's such a beautiful patch. Right, let's give it a chord. Right, there we go, we've got a pad. Now, that's a bit loud perhaps. We'll bring it down just a little bit. Okay. Actually, the drum's a bit loud as well. Let's bring the whole thing down. Now, that's a good little tip for Endless actually, is to really watch your levels all the time. If you observe up here, you can see when you're clipping, but it's always good to give yourself a bit of headroom as well. Not just in Endless, just working with audio in general. Anyway. Instead of mansplaining that to you, let's move on to what we can do next. So we've got our drums, we've got our bass, we've got our little kind of pad thing going on. Maybe we'll have I don't know, some kind of little melody perhaps. We'll see. We'll go to this Clang Corporate by Echolox. Echolox is one of the Endless team, an amazing sound designer and musician in his own right, and this is one of the packs he put together. That now I looped that, but I left a big long section there. I actually want to cut that down, so if you want to get in and mess about with the sample once you've got it in, you can come to the effects unit here. Now as you can see, the target switch is above, it automatically defaults to the last played piece, so that's where I want it. And here's the waveform coming along here. I want to get rid of all that dead space. So what I'm going to do is loop it on the 4-bar segment. There we go, dead space removed. Now, let's give it a bit of reverb as well. So I'm holding this down on the reverb, and I'm going to press the foot switch when it gets to the 4-bar segment, I think. There we go. Okay. So we've got a very basic beat together. Hopefully you can hear me okay over the top of it. And that is laying down your first beat in English, really. That's all there is really to it. Let me just turn the metronome off there. So the next thing you might want to do is go and look into the public jams. Once you've got a little bit of confidence in yourself in the solo jams and you kind of got used to how it works, come and have a nosy around in the public jams. Now, you will find different levels of ability in the public jams. One of the great things about Endless is that it's kind of gamified music to an extent where you can, using Endless, you can have somebody who is a very experienced producer and musician, say, and they can play with somebody who has literally picked the app up for the first time that day with no musical background or anything. And you can still, if you're both a wee bit thoughtful, you can still jam together and make really good music. It's incredible the way that they've kind of done that. But you will notice, as I say, lots of different approaches and lots of different styles, because it's a public jam and people are different all over, and everybody's got a different idea about music. So sometimes you'll go in and there'll be a wall of noise. I'm not going to pretend there's not. Sometimes it is like that. It's not that often, to be honest. Most of the time you'll go in and there'll be all sorts of things going on. Sometimes it'll be a little bit too busy, perhaps, and could do with a little bit of space put into it. But most of the time you'll go in and hear people jamming together. Some of them are going to be really good though, and don't be put off by that. If you go in the jam and there's something really amazing happening, I'm not saying you should go and instantly get involved and start key mashing people's people's stuff, you know, and be respectful of the jams, but don't be put off because somebody is perhaps more accomplished at this. Everybody's really friendly on this platform, and if you get involved and if you're polite and friendly, you will find friends on here so quickly, and those friends are going to teach you so much about music production you have no idea. So yeah, come get involved now. You'll see up on the thing here under the Jams for Community is Welcome to Endless Studio, visit Discord. At the moment, the social media side of the app is being developed, and we should be starting to see some developments from that fairly soon. But in the meantime, the community are using Discord to communicate and to share things, information, and support each other. So I strongly, strongly, strongly recommend that you sign up to the Discord server. And become part, or at least get yourself involved with the community in some way, because that is the other half of Endless, really. It's amazing software, but it's made amazing by the people that use it, and yeah, it's got a really nice family attached to it. So come and get involved with us all. Right. So like I was saying, the public jams, you click on those. I'm not going to click on them at the moment because there could be people there will be people in there playing, and I haven't asked them if they mind me sharing their output on social media. So I'm not going to go and click in there at the moment. That's general politeness that is generally followed by most people in Endless, that they will ask before they share other people's stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into my jams, and I have a jam here that I have been working on with my good friend Liam, Winkle89 as he's otherwise known. So we're going to have a quick look at what's happening in there. Right, wow, well, that was sudden. Let's mute that for a second. Okay, so let's have a look. We've been having our conversations going on down here as well. So I'm going to come out of that screen. And if we scroll down, we can see the riff history here, and it goes on and on and on and on, and there's lots and lots of it. So this is all stuff that myself and Liam have been working on over the last few days. And you can kind of just go in and have a nosy around in there. You can also put together riff hops. You can go back and listen through your stuff. So for example, I'll give you an example of just browsing through some riffs now. Okay. As you can see, the riffs are progressing as new things get added each time. You can see them becoming active up on the main mixer here. Right, there you go. That's how you go browsing through all my riffs. Right, I've probably made this video longer than it needs to be. I think we've covered the main point that I wanted to start with, which is just how to get your first riff kind of into the solo jam. I will put together some more videos with more detailed information about specific parts of the processes of working with Endless, but that's, as I say, for other videos. Hopefully you've got some use out of this one today. If you have enjoyed it, give us a like and maybe a wee thumbs up. Much appreciated. All right, cheers, bye bye.